Hi guys, this is Mary from MMOs.com doing a quick week news recap of all major MMO news and announcements for the week ending February 5th, 2018. This is episode number 133 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week comes from MapleStory regarding RaiderZ. This week, MapleStory announced a development roadmap on their Facebook page for the relaunch of the action MMORPG RaiderZ. While they didn't give any time frames for any kind of release, they did list off some new features they'll be implementing into the relaunched version of the game. These features include fair microtransactions, whatever that means right now, an open class system, advanced combat, new quests, and more. It's pretty odd that they call this posting a development roadmap that featured no release dates or anything like that, but hey, at least they're making progress towards a relaunch on RaiderZ. The video you're seeing in the background though is from the old version of RaiderZ, which was published by Perfect World Entertainment back in the day. Next up, we finally have an update on the console version of Tera. In a video released by InMass this week, Senior Product Manager Matt Denome talked about Tera's console launch. It's scheduled to launch sometime in 2018, which is unfortunate because they originally said late 2017. What also sucks is that we still don't have any kind of firm release date either. All we know that it's going to be happening sometime in the first half of this year, hopefully. And we also learned that they officially began development for the console version in late 2015. And the video by InMass really just talked about their decision to make Tera for console and how great the game would be for console. But unfortunately, no concrete release date just yet. Next up, World of Warcraft's upcoming expansion, Battle for Azeroth, is now available for pre-purchase, with Digital Deluxe Edition going for $70 and the standard version of the game going for $50. Deluxe Edition includes the Tortolan Pet, a Hearthstone card back, StarCraft 2 sprays, Hero of the Storm mount, several Overwatch items, and of course, a free level 110 boost in the game. Unfortunately, we still don't have an official release date for the expansion, but the game's store page on Battle.net does say it'll be releasing on or before September 21st, 2018, so September 21st at the latest. World of Warcraft still remains the most successful subscription MMORPG in the world, but it's not the most successful PC game in the world. And speaking of successful PC games, Superdata Research released their year in review, and we have some interesting industry data from them. League of Legends is once again the highest grossing PC game in the world. It earned $2.1 billion in revenue last year, up from $1.8 billion in 2016. So no, the game is not quite dead just yet. In fact, it's still growing. Dungeon Fighter Online also took the number 2 spot, same as last year, and same with Crossfire at the number 3 spot. What I find particularly interesting about this chart is that MapleStory took the number 7 spot with $279 million in revenue, and Blade & Soul took the number 9 spot with $178 million. I actually really like Blade & Soul, but I didn't think it made that much money. Hearthstone's $217 million number is a bit misleading though, as it only includes PC purchases, not mobile. Up next on the not so successful free-to-play games, unfortunate news strikes from Perfect World Entertainment regarding Gigantic. Brightly colored free-to-play mobile will be shutting down for good on July 31st, and this shouldn't really come as a big surprise to anyone following the game. The game's player base has been in perpetual decline since it launched on Steam. It launched with quite a bang actually, but it simply couldn't keep those players around. Plus, Motiga, the studio behind the game, was already shut down some time ago, and Perfect World did say they'd keep developing the game, but it was obvious to anyone that this was a red flag and that things weren't going so well. Rest in pepperoni though Gigantic. While it's always sad to see a game shut down, there are constantly new games launching to replace the ones dying. And speaking of new games, Ironsight from Area Games launched the open beta this last week. It's not yet available on Steam, but I suspect it will be eventually. It is free to play for everyone on AreaGames.com. It's yet another Korean lobby-based shooter, and it plays a lot like Call of Duty. The core mechanics and systems are similar to other free-to-play Korean lobby games like Combat Arms and Alliance of Valiant Arms, but the gunplay feels a lot more like Call of Duty than anything else. It's actually a really polished game too, and I think it'll do really well. I've played Black Squad, I've played AVA, I've played Combat Arms, I've played almost every one of these free-to-play Korean shooters. I do really enjoy this one because all the weapons are permanent and the gameplay does feel really polished. I think it's worth checking out. Anyway, back to the topic of games dying. Link Realms officially shut down this last week. It was a hardcore PvP MMORPG that was inspired by classics like Ultima Online and RuneScape. As we've seen with games like Shadowbane, Albion, Darkfall, and other hardcore PvP MMORPGs, there just isn't a big market for these kinds of games anymore. But rest in pepperoni, Link Realms. I imagine most of you guys never heard of this one. It was definitely a bit of an obscure title, but it's donezo for now. Next up, some oddball news. Somebody paid over $60,000 for a Counter-Strike Go skin. Their factory new Dragon Lore Op sold for $61,052.63 exactly. I personally think this is insane, but the person who sold this particular item actually bought it a few years ago for $35,000. By selling it for $60 grand, he made a whopping $25K in profit. Not too shabby. This one will definitely go down in the books as one of the most expensive digital items ever sold. $60,000 for a Counter-Strike Go skin. That is insane. Next, in some actual MMO news, the free-to-play 2D zombie survival MMO Dead Maze is set to launch their early access on Steam on February 13th. It features old-school 2D isometric view, and will have some players working together to scavenge resources and survive during a zombie outbreak. The game is being developed by French studio Atelier 801, which is the company best known for making the quirky game Transformice. Expect a first look for the Dead Maze as soon as it launches into early access. It looks kind of cool. Speaking of new games, Diablo creator David Brevik revealed his newest game this last week, titled It Lurks Below. Brevik was the main guy behind Diablo, Hellgate London, and Marvel Heroes, and he's hard at work at his new game studio, Greybeard Games, on It Lurks Below, which looks like a pixelated action RPG with a mix of Terraria and Diablo elements. The game's set to launch on Steam later this year, but there is no exact release date just yet. And just looking at this trailer in the background, this is totally a Terraria clone, but you can't really blame him. Terraria is an incredibly good game and mega popular, so we'll see what It Lurks Below is all about when it launches. Next up, MapleStory will be shutting down its free market zones in the coming weeks. Nexon first announced its closure back in November of 2017, but steps to actually close the free market zones just started happening this last week. The free market zone in MapleStory was a place where people got together to buy, sell, or trade items with each other directly. It was a chaotic zone of commerce where players had to strike bargains with each other, and obviously with players transacting, it was a hotbed for scammers and other unfortunate things. Nexon clearly wants to push people towards buying and selling items using their auction house system instead of the free market. It's not a huge change, but it's definitely the end of an era, especially for us old school Maplers and anyone that grew up playing MMORPGs where players kind of had to trade with each other without an auction house. By Rest Pepperoni, free market, and MapleStory. Next, some pretty big news for Dota 2. Over the next 6 months, players can look forward to bi-weekly updates for the game. Previously, Dota 2 was known for having giant updates every 6 months or so, but now they're moving towards more frequent updates more often. Expect these patches to happen every other Thursday, and if it works out well, expect this to become a permanent move, but for now, it's a 6-month experiment by Valve. And while I don't play Dota 2 anymore, I do think it's a good move to update the game more often, and just more frequently, rather than just dropping giant updates like once a year or twice a year. Next up, Reactor kicked off its Season 5 this last week and added a brand new freelancer, Vaughn, this time on Vice. Reactor mode is also set to begin again on February 13th as well. Reactor, for those of you who never heard about the game, it's a free-to-play 4v4 XCOM-like game developed and published by Trion Worlds. It's definitely one of the more unique free-to-play games out there, and it's worth trying IMO, only because it is so different. According to Steam charts, it's only getting about 219 or so players online at any given time, but you can still find games fairly easily. Next, Nintendo announced their 5th mobile game, Mario Kart Tour, this week, and is set to launch sometime this year. Fortunately, there's not much information about the game. In fact, there is no videos out there for the game either. But given that it's a Mario Kart game, I expect it'll attract tens of millions of downloads, if not more. But yeah, we know literally nothing about this one. We'll hopefully learn more in the near future. Next and last bit of news is from My.com, and they're embracing mobile as well with the launch of Armored Warfare Assault later this month, which is of course a mobile version of Armored Assault. The game will feature over 80 unlockable modern vehicles with customizable crews like the PC version. And given how popular the PC game is and how successful World of Tanks Blitz has been, I'm surprised it took them this long to launch a mobile version of Armored Assault. Expect them to print money with this one. Anyway guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Apologies for no podcast last week. We were in the middle of the podcast and then we had some internet problems and then we just had to turn off the stream because the internet was just not being friendly and just turning off on us. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later guys.